Natalie and I spoke about the things that we wanted to bring into this experience that maybe in past experiences have that we've been a part of or that we see out there that we hear from our students and practitioners that might be missing or lacking. And one of those pieces is leadership, and another part is integration. And so I'd love to hear, Natalie, your thoughts on what this experience is and how it's different and who we're calling in.
You named the most important word here, and this is leadership. And leadership might have very different explanations and definitions. Let me first start with my definition of leadership. And that has changed over the years. What my definition of leadership is, finally, is responsibility. And it's even more responsibility versus expansion. It is more being grounded in my body and reacting from a very embodied, felt, intuitive space, rather than trying so hard to become the next version of myself and the next and the next and the next. The question here is, when we talk about leadership, stepping into leadership, then I step into full contact with life. The question behind the leadership definition is, how am I interacting truly with life, with all what is, with all what has been, and how am I handling everything that might come up in life? And when we pull back for a moment from the big word of transformation, expansion, when we pull back and come back to finally being in a space where we can own what we are, and then I think that opens a very different approach of how I want to lead, how I want to interact with others, with life, with what I want to create next for myself. And having said that, and speaking about the definition of leadership, the retreat, the invitation here is to come, to be present, and to keep that present up, not only for one ceremony, but over these days we are working together to really learn to stay present long enough that truly change can happen. And having said that, it is as well about patience. Can I be grounded enough? Can I be patient enough to be here and to immerse myself into a group, being very, very structured, being organized, being regulated, to stay present in a group field? And can I be patient enough to feel how that group field over the days is wobbling, bubbling, emerging, and just becoming a body for itself, where I, being in that body, can feel myself fully and come from that place of groundedness and present and step up into leadership for myself, being supported from everyone else around me.
I love that image, the bubbling and the wobbling and the words that you shared about the consistency and the patience. And I've seen this. You and I have both led many retreats and immersions, and I'm always fascinated because I watch the process, and oftentimes day one or day two, someone will come and meeting their edges and what do I do with this? And sometimes I have students that meet the edge and want to leave. And my encouragement always is stay with this. It's going to change. By the end of this experience, you're going to feel completely different. This is part of the initiation to step into a new energy. And I've been one of those students completely, transparently. I remember on my very first ayahuasca ceremony many years ago, almost probably more than 2 decades ago, I'm going through my brain during the ceremony, how can I leave? This is not for me, going through all of the reasons that I needed to get out of there until that final call to action from the facilitator, from the space holder that dropped me to my knees, that finally got me to a place of surrender. And I recognized in the body, not in the mind, not in the, I'm going to figure this out, but in the body, when I finally dropped to my knees and surrendered and allowed a release to happen, I recognized, oh, there's something more going on, that I need to stay and be with this until the end. And the fascinating part was the end of the experience hasn't actually happened yet. The integration, even from 2 decades ago, is still in process. Part of our collaboration together, Natalie and I have talked about the importance of integration and being embodied leaders ourselves, to where we are just as curious about what is the process of integration before and after the bookend of experiences.